Mr. Wolin, what is a default?
A default takes place when either the buyer or the seller fail to perform the real estate contract. In the case of a seller's default, usually that means that the seller has changed their mind and decided not to sell their home. The buyer has to prove that the buyer was ready, willing, and able to perform the contract in order to enforce the contract. Usually the enforcement takes place by an action for what is called specific performance. That's where the buyer asks the court to require the seller to perform the contract. In the case of a buyer's default, that usually takes place when the day of closing comes and the buyer isn't ready to come to the closing table with the necessary cash to close. In that case, the seller's most often used remedy is to keep the buyer's deposit. In addition, in some states, the seller also has the right to require the buyer to perform the contract by an action for specific performance. Frequently, when a default takes place, the real estate brokers have rights as well. In the case of a default by the buyer, the real estate broker may be entitled to keep part of the seller's contract.